Hey y'all, hope you're doing good today. So I wanted to share a book with you all and just sort of do a short little book review. This is a journal, directed or assisted type journal where there's a lot of prompts in here. And it's a beautifully laid out journal. It's very, very encouraging. And it's by Stacy Swift. It's called You Are Positively Awesome. And then the subtitle is Good Vibes and Self-Care Prompts for All of Life's Ups and Downs. And I've marked just a few pages to share with you all. The illustration is really cool. It's very simple, but I have a background in graphic design, so I have sort of an affinity for very clean illustration. And so that's what you're going to find in here. And I think that when life gets complicated, as we're simplifying our life to handle all of the different stressors out there, I think that even the things we take in, like if we're reading, something like this can be refreshing, sort of like a breath of fresh air, because it's so simplistic, and yet it's sort of like there's moments when you're going through this journal and it's just a few words, but it packs a powerful punch. So it's like she has chosen the words very carefully to have the greatest impact. And so that helps, especially if you've been navigating this cloud of confusion, right? So I'll give an example. So in the beginning, she, shares the contents, and this is kind of an example of how simplistic the illustration is. Very colorful, very, if you think about even color therapy and the meaning of colors, it's, I think that has an impact on us too. So very happy colors, I would say. And she gives a short little introduction. And then here's another example. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? Some of these things are things where you're thinking, yeah, I've heard this, many times, but what a beautiful reminder, and I think we need those. And then over here, again, just a short little paragraph. We aren't just able to give endlessly without topping ourselves off first. It's a simple enough idea, but it's also the foundation on which we can best pursue and maintain our twinkliness and happiness. We have to take better care of us. And so she'll give, encouragement and positive, thoughts, and then she'll give space for you to interact with the book, and that's your journaling part. For example, it's just really cool the way she's laid this out. Things that help me sparkle. And so this is really neat because she defines certain areas in our life where we can consciously sit down with a pen and define what aspects of our life in all these different areas really contribute to our life experience in a positive and encouraging way. And I think that this practice of sitting down and actually thinking about this and defining it, right? Outlining this for yourself, it's just a way to cultivate mindfulness. And what that can do for us is help us to stop spending so much time in the areas that aren't contributing to us in a positive way. It makes us conscious of how we're spending our time, even our mental time, what we're thinking on. And in the Bible, it says that we're supposed to take our thoughts captive. And so it's very, very important to filter out what we're taking in and where we're putting our energy and our focus and things like that, right? So this just kind of helps to outline that for us and to define that. Another area that I thought was really cool, and I've gone through this in my mind and answered these questions in my mind. I haven't actually written in here yet, but it says, this is a section where it's talking about the things we can and can't control. And I've talked before in past videos about Stephen Covey, in one of his books discusses the circle of concern. And it's all about, what we can control, what we can't control. And that should line up with, what we're actually concerned about. In other words, it's pointless to worry about things that are outside of our control, right? So this just helps with that. And I love how she goes through and helps you, you know, and gives you examples. So it's sort of like, I view this metaphorically as someone lending a hand on the path. Maybe they're a little bit further down the path and you're, you know, in a tough place right now. So she's like extending her hand, you know, to help you along the way. And I love it. I love it. Very encouraging, very helpful. And good to define these things in our own mind, right? And then this was one of my favorite parts. She talks about what's okay. It's okay, and she makes her list of the things that are okay, and then it's your turn, right? So in this sense, this book is sort of like you're in a class and she's the teacher. And her examples are, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to have bad days. It's okay to be less than perfect. It's okay to do what's best for you. And it's okay to be yourself. And so then it's, you know, your turn to make your own note. And she says, create your own memo, a visual reminder that you're only human. Cut yourself some slack next time things are a little tough. So I guess if you wanted to, you could have like a little book holder and have this just on display somewhere where you're going to see this all the time. Or you could even cut this out, you know, and hang it up. And a few more examples. She gets into a section talking about self-love, and she has created this heart chart, and she's given her examples, and she calls it her self-love heart, Stacy's self-love heart. And then it's your turn, and it's just a beautiful blank illustration for you to then place the things that it says, what are the things you like most about yourself? Which is cool, because if you're suffering from a barrage of negativity in your environment, you know, maybe your family's putting you down, or, you know, whatever it is, this, you know, this can be life-saving. It's really important. And then the last thing I want to share is, she says, it's not your job to be everything to everyone. Right here. And then, again, very simple and clear and clean illustration, and, you know, even the type, the font here. And then it's your turn to dive into this concept of saying no, okay? So, effects of not enforcing our no. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not your part to write, but she explains the impact on us when we don't say no. So she's, again, this is like her teaching the class to you in the book. And then when you flip the page, she says, not all problems are ours to solve. I will say no to, and then you can write it here. This is your part. So I won't share any more. I wanted to share just a small bit, kind of like if you were in the bookstore and you were flipping through and making the decision if you wanted to purchase the book. I highly recommend it. Again, it's a small book, but it's very rich, and it doesn't take, you know, very many words for it to make an impact. And I think that simplicity can actually be a huge benefit in our life when we have gone through a lot of mud and muck and confusion. So I would highly recommend this book. I'm going to go through and fill this out myself. I've already done it mentally, and I hope that you enjoyed this. Please feel free to share in the comment section any books that you recommend that are encouraging and that we can learn from and that can help us through a difficult time. So I hope that you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you again very soon.